Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Stinchfield. We have Blockbuster news to tell you about. News that we first broke on this program last night with our man, John Solomon. Turns out 250 plainclothes FBI agents were on the ground on January 6th. 250 of them. They were never straight with us. The prior administration, James Comey is the director of the FBI, Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, Attorney General Garland, they would never give us a straight answer about this. And in many respects, their omission about telling us the truth is the problem. And so now we're learning that in an after-action report, these FBI agents flooded FBI headquarters with anonymous complaints. Those complaints were captured in this after-action report. They read like this, one of them: "We were once an apolitical organization, but I no longer see us as such, looking from the ground up. We have been used as pawns in a political war, and FBI leadership fell into the trap and has allowed it to happen. We are supposed to call balls and strikes, regardless of political pressure. Now we can't even be trusted on the field." That's one comment. I will tell you, in many respects, it's refreshing to see that inside the FBI, there were those that were pushing back. There were those that were angry about the politicization of the FBI. Here is another comment for you. Again, also damning. It reads, "What is even more unacceptable was the hypocrisy displayed by the FBI and its leadership in their attempt to go after those involved in the Capitol riots, while we as agents watched cities burn across America during 2020. Remember, that, of course, was the summer of love." So again, 250 agents, many of them feeling like they were used as political pawns, and leadership from the Attorney General to the FBI refused to acknowledge that there were so many FBI agents on the ground here. Throwback, Thomas Massie questioning Attorney General Merrick Garland.
Oh, last time, you don't know how many there were, or there were none?
I don't know the answer to either of those questions. If there were any, I don't know how many. I don't know whether there are any.
I think you may have just perjured yourself that you don't know that there were any. You want to say that again, that you don't know that there were any?
I have no personal knowledge of this matter. I think what I said the last time.
You've had 2 years to find out.
Now we find out that there was an after-action report that revealed 250 plainclothes officers, 24 confidential informants also in plainclothes. I believe Thomas Massie was right. Attorney General Merrick Garland committed perjury there. There is no way he didn't know how many FBI agents were on the ground, just as James Comey committed perjury when he said he wasn't leaking information or knew about leaked information to the mainstream media. This is Clay Higgins, also a throwback.
Well, to my question being closed, this is a very significant hearing, Mr. Chairman, and these buses are nefarious in nature and were filled with FBI informants dressed as Trump supporters and deployed onto our Capitol on January 6th. Your day is coming, Mr. Wray.
Let's talk to former FBI Director Christopher Wray about the ghost buses. It turns out they may not have been just confidential informants. They may have been FBI agents dressed as Trump supporters. We always knew something was up. Look at the video on your screen. They've got a guy in handcuffs, and then ultimately they just uncuff him and let him go. We all knew it. And now, thanks to Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and of course, Pam Bondi, the new Attorney General, we're starting to learn the real truth. Well, we knew the truth. We're having confirmation of the real truth. And again, what John Solomon over at Just the News learned is that there really were agents inside the FBI. They weren't all bad, that were screaming and yelling about all of this.
But it's more important that it is a affirmation from the frontline agents of the FBI that they had recognized their agency had become politically corrupted, politically biased, politically incompetent. And they were crying for help in 2021, and that help was kept from them until Donald Trump won the election and Kash Patel was installed.
Well, they've got help now. My biggest fear, though, is they still have holdovers. Because remember, what you're looking at there, that's the January 6th, that nearly 95% of the people on Capitol grounds were taking part in. An organized tour of the Capitol, shaking hands with law enforcement, as you can see there. We've got pictures of them walking between the ropes. And as they do that, they're mindful of their surroundings, not breaking any laws. But that wasn't the story the mainstream media told you. And they certainly didn't tell us that there were 250 FBI agents there, many of them complaining to leadership. I cannot believe it has taken us nearly 5 years now to get this information. Here with me to discuss this, J6 political prisoner. They sent him to prison over all of this. He's now the creative director at America's Frontline Doctors. My buddy John Strand is back. John, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me on, Grant. Always great to be with you.
John, what they did to you, all right, they cut off communications between you and me. We're just friends, but they threw you in the shoe, in the hole. They thought you were the worst terrorist ever to hit American soil, and you were one of those people simply walking through the Capitol, shaking officers' hands. Now you learn, yeah, there were 250 FBI agents there. Yeah, there were confidential informants. Many of those FBI agents complaining. Your thoughts?
Wow, Grant, it is quite a revelation. And as you said, we've been tracking this for years now. I've been going through it personally for over 4 years. We've always known that January 6th was a government crime, a setup, an operation weaponized against the American people. And now we have the truth out of the criminals' own mouths, out of the institution that set this forth. So we knew that there were undercover operatives. We knew that there was pre-planning. We knew that we had learned this playbook from the Gretchen Whitmer Fed-napping hoax, and it was replicated here by the same FBI field director, by the way, Stephen D'Antuono, who also needs to be investigated and likely indicted and charged, as many others do. But James Comey was a nice start.
All right, John, I have to say, yeah, there was the West Terrace, for those that really dug into J6. It got a little rough and tumble. I don't think they deserved years in prison that they were there for. It wasn't nearly as rough and tumble as the summer of love of 2020 when Black Lives Matter was burning cities. But by and large, 95% of J6 was what you were doing, walking through the Capitol. I can't help but think 250 agents on the ground could not just 1, 2, 5, 10 of them come forward and said, hey, none of these people did anything. Because you know they would have witnessed you, John Strand, not doing anything.
Yeah, there are so many lies to unpack here. And it's hard. People get caught up in the moment and caught up in, am I going to get caught or should I say this or that? But the time for truth-telling is now. The time for these lies and corrupt mechanisms needs to be over. So the American people are demanding the truth. They deserve it. Certainly the J6ers who have had their lives destroyed, myself included, have suffered greatly over the past 4 years. We deserve justice. We deserve restitution from a government that weaponized against us and violated our basic constitutional rights. Grant, we were innocently present, exercising our First Amendment guaranteed right to petition our government for a redress of grievances. That is quite literally what we were doing there as a nation on January 6th. Mm-hmm. That First Amendment right was weaponized against us to violate our Fourth, Fifth, Eighth Amendment rights and put us in prison, often pre-trial without due process. And ultimately, the vast majority of people present there are innocent Americans who simply wanted their voice to be heard, particularly regarding a stolen election, which we've now seen proof to evidence that as well. There's so many lies, so much corruption, and we're sick and tired of it. Today is a banner day. I call this the turning point for J6. And it's a very important moment, but we have to press forward. We've always known that there were FBI agents involved. We've always known that there were a lot of lies, but we need to have them exposed with the disinfectant of sunlight, and we need the perpetrators brought to justice. That is essential.
Yeah. You know, I would say this, for the 250 undercover FBI agents that were there, when all the questions were being asked, to those of you, which appears to be none of them, we've had FBI whistleblowers come on this show. None of them were undercover on January 6th. To those of them that were undercover, I ask you to look yourselves in the mirror, because people like yourself, John, went to prison. And any one of them could have stood up and said, you know what, this isn't right. Besides sending anonymous messages to leadership at FBI, they should have been coming to people like me and others that could have put them on TV and done something about it and maybe saved you quite a long stint in a federal penitentiary, John Strand.
Yeah, well, Grant, you know, what we can show the American people is the contrast between those who played the safe game or played the coward game and those who stood firm for the truth. Grant, you and Real America's Voice have been fantastic championing the cause of truth tellers and of innocent J6ers who have fought back. You've platformed me and allowed me to share that story. You can find out more at johnstrand.com to learn what I've gone through. But the point is that people can observe those who continue to stand for the truth and speak it out. And that pays off in the end. It gives you, first of all, integrity and personal satisfaction, but ultimately it's going to allow you to succeed. And lies are just going to keep dragging you down. So we're at a national turning point where we really need to demand the truth and unify in our efforts to push forward for transparency and accountability for bad government actors.
All right, real quick, because I like to give you a platform. You deserve it, everything you've been through. You're running for Congress. Tell people where they can find you and where they can help you, and I would urge people to do just that.
Amazing. So it's not exactly official yet, but go to johnstrand.com. Currently, you're going to see, if you haven't watched it already, a mind-blowing 14-minute video that shows every step I took through the Capitol and explains what actually happened to me. It's representative of what happened to many others. But yes, there are massive political shifts going on. This week has been incredible with the memorial for Charlie Kirk, one of my personal patriot heroes. And it's really a turning point in our nation and a call to action for those who have had their eyes open, that are red-pilled to the war between good and evil and the assault against American values and Western civilization by Marxist, communist, and Islamo-fascist forces. This is the time for patriots like myself and others to step forward and look for opportunities to share the truth, to take leadership, and yes, to run for political office. So there's a lot more coming to johnstrand.com very soon. I'm excited to bring you that in the next few weeks here.
If I outed you before you had made an announcement, my apologies to you, my friend. But
no apologies
you come
necessary.
Back when you make it official. You come back and announce to me, and we'll make sure we get some people throwing some money in the tip jar. All right, my friend?
Absolutely. God bless you and all your efforts, and stay strong on the truth, Grant. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Always. And we do it for people like you. That's an American hero right there. What he has been through, we've profiled him many times on this program. Nothing short of disastrous for a country like America. All right, folks. But it is a big day, as John said. This right here, this is the indictment. It's not long, not hard to read. It's 2 pages. That's it. Basically says that James Comey lied September 30th of 2020, just about 5 years ago. That's when the statute of limitations runs up, when he said he didn't have any idea about leaks to the mainstream media. He didn't send anybody to the media. He didn't tell agents to work with the New York Times. Those turned out to be what appear to be false statements if you believe the witnesses and the other evidence that investigators have against him. The obstruction charge stems from the lies during that hearing that obstructed Congress's ability to investigate the real truth. This is President Trump today on James Comey's indictment.
It's about justice. He lied a lot, but this was a very important thing. He could have said, well, maybe, or I don't remember. He didn't say that. He gave a very specific answer, and then he verified it numerous times, and he got caught. The problem that Comey has is he got caught lying.
Yeah, he sure does. I actually think he verified in his very arrogant and entitled response to this indictment video that he posted. I think he verified that he did weaponize the FBI. I want you to listen to his words carefully. I don't think his lawyers looked this over before he issued this statement. He's got some big problems here to explain now. Roll it.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump. But we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right. But I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either.
costs standing up to Donald Trump? So was standing up to Donald Trump lying about the leaks to the media so you wouldn't get caught, so maybe he wouldn't be reelected? Was that it? I mean, you just basically admitted that standing up to Donald Trump was the mission as you were director of the FBI. That is playing political games with your office. To me, it's disgusting. As the FBI agent in one of those text messages said earlier, you're supposed to call balls and strikes, not go after political foes. You just admitted it there in that video, Comey. And now I want to see you in handcuffs, quite frankly. I really do. You deserve to go to prison for a long time. My guess is he may get convicted, but he's not going to go to prison anytime soon. I don't think they'll do it. I really don't. It's only a prediction. I wish I was wrong. Chris Van Hollen, the senator, Democrat, this is his response.
Look, this is a political prosecution, pure and simple. It's Exhibit A of the corruption of this Department of Justice and our justice system. And it comes in line with all the other lawless things President Trump is doing, cracking down on First Amendment rights, stripping people of their due process.
I'm sorry. Political persecution? Hey, Senator Van Hollen, you tell that to my friend Peter Navarro. You tell that to my friend George Papadopoulos. You tell that to my friend Roger Stone, my friend Steve Bannon. You tell that to John Strand and the other J6ers. You want to talk about political persecution? You tell that to President Trump and everything he's went through. These people are hypocrites with a capital H. They all ought to go to prison, quite frankly. I want to bring in with me now retired FBI Executive Assistant Director and author of Wanted, the FBI I Once Knew. Chris Perrota is with us. Chris, welcome to the program.
Hey, Grant, pleasure to be with you and your audience tonight.
Well, it's a pleasure having you on. I guess, first off, I'll get your response. What kind of case do they have against James Comey? I know you worked with this man before. You think it's a good case? Do they have something here?
I think they have a legal strategy, right? And I think that you're going to see that certain facts and events as laid out by the former director are going to be challenged, and they're going to look at his version of events versus the actual documented version of events, as well as possible testimony of other people who were involved. And here's the problem you have with the director of the FBI. This person has to be the bellwether official of the FBI and the law enforcement community, beyond reproach and trusted and respected by all. I think former Director Comey has squandered that type of respect for the organization and for himself, and it's really a shame to watch at this point. But I do think that it'll be interesting to see how this case presents itself and how it's moved forward.
Chris, do you agree with me that in his video here, the response to the indictment, he basically makes an admission that while he was in office, he was standing up to President Trump? That is not his job as FBI director.
No, one of the problems I saw that Director Comey ran into was he got to a point where he started substituting his own political and ideological beliefs for the mission parameters and the mission requirements that the FBI operates under on behalf of the American people. That got him in trouble. And I'll tell you where else he ran into trouble is his fascination with being in the media. And after he left office, his fascination with being on social media. I think those were factors in his demise.
All right, let me ask you about the information about J6. 250 undercover plainclothes FBI agents. Now we have learned that we're on scene there. None of them apparently stood up, went public with the fact that many of these J6ers, all of them just about, were not really committing crimes. Is that as troubling to you as it is to me?
Highly disappointing that no one said anything. But I will tell you, the FBI that I knew, the FBI that I grew up in, ceased to exist over time. And I think the FBI agents who were involved in the response to the events of January 6th, they lived in an environment of fear and retribution. And that's why you'll have a lot of them knew it wasn't good, but they were scared of the retribution. And you've seen how the FBI was conducting business when it made some questionable choices on how it conducted operations against people in the conservative side of the community.
You know, in some respects, it restored a little bit of faith that you did have agents speaking out. If you could throw up that highlight number 5 again for me, guys, that reads, "We were once an apolitical organization," just as you said, Chris, once an apolitical organization, but I no longer see us as such. Looking from the ground up, we have been used as pawns in a political war, and FBI leadership fell into the trap and has allowed it to happen. I like what they're saying here, Chris, but the problem is they send this anonymously. When I talk about people being bold, and FBI agents ought to be bold, you got to stand up and say this, not anonymously, but put your name on it.
Well, the information was probably collected anonymously on purpose because people wouldn't respond otherwise because they fear retribution. I will tell you this, the FBI that I knew, the FBI that I grew up with, you would have had some screaming matches about what was going on at the time. And the FBI that I was proud of did its business in a skilled, objective, apolitical, and professional manner, which we saw a pretty severe departure from over the course of the last administration. And I'm hoping that the FBI is back on the right track, or at least facing in the right direction under the new leadership.
Well, let's hope so. I wish some of the old agents, other guys I know, like you, Chris Perrota, I wish you'd go back in with Bongino and Patel at the helm.
Love to help if I could, and you know, I told you I had a great career. I would do it all over again if they let me.
Yeah, great stuff. Chris Perrota, it's great to have you on the program. First time. I hope you come back again real soon, and I want everyone to check out your book, Wanted, the FBI I Once Knew. Chris, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Listen, we have a budget battle going on right now. Tuesday is the deadline. Here's what the Senate Democrats want: $1.5 trillion in spending hikes, health care for illegals, $500 million for liberal news outlets, all of that. They're not going to get it. President Trump says, you know what? You shut the government down because it's in the Democrats' hands right now. Trump's going to go fire a whole slew of federal workers. He's going to use it as an opportunity, which he can. He made that threat before. The Democrats said, okay. The Democrats appear that they're not going to do that. This is President Trump, though, talking about it today.
Everything's going good. We're respected by every nation in the world. And you know what happens? The Democrats want to shut it down. They want to shut it down because they want to give billions, ultimately trillions of dollars to illegal migrants, people that came into our country illegally. Some of those people are criminals.
A lot of them. It's not what the American people want. The American people have spoken with the election of President Trump. We want an America first government that puts America first and American citizens first. Democrats don't get it. All right, folks, when inflation jumps and you hear the national debt is over $37 trillion, you ever think maybe now might be a good time to buy some gold? Well, gold is a great hedge against inflation. We know that. Peace of mind during global instability, or just for a sensible diversification tool. Birch Gold Group believes every American should own physical gold. And from now until September 30th, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 in free metals for the first-time buyers. To claim eligibility and start the process, request an info kit now. Just text America to the number 989898. Plus, Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you're still eligible for a rebate in free metals up to $10,000. Claim your eligibility and get a free info kit. Text America to the number 989898. All right, folks, delegates walk out at the United Nations. President Trump weighs in on Israel and Gaza, and Prime Minister Netanyahu delivers a fiery defense. It's next.